2 weeks ago, I published this huge investigation for you, telling 3 terrifying stories about the creatures of Trevor Anderson. You loved it, so here I am, 4 sleepless nights later, presenting you with 3 new cases about the creatures of Trevor Anderson. Just a quick reminder for those who might have forgotten, the creatures people told me about are things like this, or this, or this. All these creatures have one thing in common, Trevor Anderson. By the way, I suggest we go straight to the testimony about this case. What is this site? Did I hear create a website? No, not you. Hold on, man, I have the perfect tool to create a website quickly. Create a website quickly? You know very well that's not possible. Well, that's because you know nothing about the power of Odoo. And maybe I'll help you. Well, I'd like your help, but Basically, Odoo is an all-in-one software that offers a bunch of applications to manage your business. Yeah, like sales and invoicing. Yeah, and even an app for website creation. You just have to enter some info about your site, like the type, your business, and so on. I see the power. Look, you can either choose a color palette or add your logo, which picks your theme, and boom, all you have to do is customize it. Wait, man, but that's incredible. But hold on, wait. We're agreeing that I still have to write everything myself, the posts, the blogs, and so on. ChatGPT is integrated into Odoo. What do you mean? Well, it's very simple. If you already have some text, ChatGPT can rework it for you. And if you have nothing at all, you just need to enter a prompt, and ChatGPT will do the job. Okay, but if I have to write your site in several languages, Odoo will do it for you, with links. It's so incredible. Everyone should use Odoo. Yeah, I know. Maybe you should say it. Yeah. Well, you got it. Tonight, Odoo saves my life again. Really? If you need to create a website for free, super quickly, go straight to Odoo using the link in the first line of the description. And don't forget to mention that the first app is free for life and that hosting and support are unlimited for life. Or maybe that the custom domain name is also offered for a year maybe. That's what you meant? Yeah, how did you know? Don't worry, I tried to wink, that's all. After that, I don't know. I never really learned how to wink. Anyway, without further ado, let's start with the first case. The very first time this creature was observed. Now I know, you don't see anything on the screen. That's because I'm going to show it to you at the end of the case, of course. You'll discover it at the same time as the main character of this case did. First case. It's a beautiful morning in May, warm and sunny. Spring has definitely settled in the northern hemisphere, and everyone is slowly starting to go out and enjoy the nice weather. It's also the time for schools to have their famous field trips. Many teachers wait for the nice weather to go on trips with their students. That's the case for this 4th grade class, taking a multi-day nature trip in the forest. The children are excited each evening and can call their parents so they won't worry. So, it's on a very sunny morning that the students arrive at their camp. They were very lucky. The weather is splendid. Everything is going perfectly. On her side, Monica is a very anxious mother. Her little Mateo is part of the group. And it was really the first time the little boy left the family nest for a few days. She was always very afraid that something would happen to him, and given her past, it was normal. She lost her big brother when he was only 4 years old, and unfortunately, that left an indelible mark on her mind, even to this day. Because on top of that, she never managed to overcome this heavy trauma. The first 2 days are without a doubt the most difficult for the young mother. But fortunately, on both days, her son's call at 7:30 reassures her a lot. The little boy seems to be having a lot of fun. He is really enjoying this trip, and it does Monica good to hear him and to understand that he is doing well. On the 3rd day, she and her husband sit down at the table and talk about their respective days. As she brings a dish back to the kitchen, her gaze quite automatically falls on the clock. It's 7:45. You get the idea. Mateo, who is at a camp in the middle of the forest, should have called a long time ago. What's going on? What if something happened to him? An accident? What if he's in the hospital? She manages to control her thoughts a little, especially when she thinks about her child. So she talks to her husband, hoping he can help her. Her thoughts are stronger than she is. After a few minutes, unable to take it anymore, she grabs the phone and calls the camp. No answer. She really tries to pull herself together, to tell herself that her son is safe. They probably just got delayed. It happens, but she can't handle it. She knows their schedule is so precise that to her, a 20-minute delay seemed impossible. Her husband, Mateo's father, tries to reason with her, but her anxiety only grows over time. and the less she manages to control herself. So, around 8:15, she can't hold back any longer. She immediately calls another mother, who is also a close friend, Maria. And what she learns makes her even more anxious. Her friend answered the phone quite quickly, maybe even too quickly. She also hasn't heard from her little girl, Lena, and this worries her more and more. Both of them tried to contact other parents to get some news, but very quickly they had to face the facts. No one had heard any news from the camp. All the parents were getting more and more worried. What's happening over there? So the minutes go by. 8:30, 8:45, 9 o'clock. 9:15. The truth is, not a single child called that night. What the hell is going on? No one. And that was without telling anyone. That's not normal. Panicking, Monica can't do anything anymore except cry. It's Xavier, her husband, who takes over. He tries to call one of the teachers directly on their cell phone. Okay, so you're telling me that they called the campsite, no one answered. Then they tried calling the teachers, individually, and still no answer. Okay, that's when we realized there's a real problem. Either the internet connection is down over there, or something serious happened, damn it. It's starting to get really worrying, even for him. After a good half hour of unsuccessful calls, they decide to call the forest rangers, if only to ease his worries and Monica's. Fortunately, they are very responsive and promise to do everything they can to make sure everything is okay for them, but there shouldn't be any reason to worry. Even stranger, they managed to reach the forest rangers, who are just 5 minutes from the campsite. So, how come the Wi-Fi works at the forest ranger's place, but not at the campsite? It seems like something happened over there actually. What happened? Finally, the phone rings. Xavier answers, hoping to hear his son. Unfortunately, that's not the case. The forest rangers have arrived on site. But they had to wait for the police to arrive before calling anyone. The bodies, the 3 teachers present on site, were found in the dormitories, in conditions that can't be described here, and the children missing, vanished, without leaving any trace. Only their belongings remained perfectly intact in their dormitory. Nothing was moved, nothing was stolen. Their cell phones are there. Everywhere. But there's no one there. Of course, the police searched for clues, but nothing was found at the scene. Even more worrying from that moment on. Disappearances of children and infants start happening in the area. The police are on edge, the population is terrified, and everyone is barricading themselves in. The only clue: the sound of a bell at the scene of the abductions, but nothing else. However, the investigation didn't stop there. The police are still searching for the children, but as of now, no clue indicates where they are, or even if they're still alive. So, what the hell happened? Well, of course, I have an answer to your questions. You may have already heard of the Belleringers. Emaciated creatures, humanoids. They could look like a skeleton if you remove the arms. It looks like it's made up of a very large rib cage, a small head with a bell. Like those very old bells, the ones used to ring for class changes at school. These are creatures that hunt in packs, and they only go after children. They devour. They will never really go after an adult, unless that person tries to protect a child, and they hate children for a completely unknown reason. They usually live in abandoned schools, or places where children are supposed to go, that have been left abandoned. Ladies and gentlemen, here they are. The Belleringers. The first creature dealt with in this first case, about the creatures of Trevor Anderson. Terrifying, isn't it? Honestly, it's not as terrifying as the second case, on a Saturday afternoon. While the holiday season was fast approaching, Thomas, 9 years old, is walking with his family in a large shopping mall. It's an opportunity for him to have fun with his cousins and his sister. Then, it also allowed the parents to discreetly look at what they were going to get their children for Christmas and what gifts to give to the rest of the family at the same time. So it was a good opportunity for the family to go out. The shopping mall was huge. It housed dozens and dozens of stores. It was very easy to get lost there. Fortunately, the family stayed very close together. An unfortunate incident had occurred months earlier. No need to add more. Thomas was a restless little boy. He tended to always run around everywhere. And that actually got him into some trouble at school. But strangely enough, in the shopping mall, he was particularly well behaved. Strange though, for a restless little boy. Well, not really. I mentioned an incident a few seconds ago. Well, that's one of the 2 reasons why he's behaving himself. The first is to earn a ride on the carousel, which his parents promised him if he was good. And above all, the family already had bad experiences with Thomas's cousin Martin, who got lost for hours in the shopping mall. He was only found at closing time, huddled up and crying his eyes out in a corner. That left a mark on little Thomas, who had refused for a long time to go into any store. This was the first time he set foot in one again. The shopping mall aisles were filled with activities, between Santa Claus walking around handing out candy and little shows. The kids were delighted. Thomas was actually very happy to have come with his parents, but most of all, he couldn't wait to take his turn on the ride. So, what's going to happen? Why am I doing that voice? I don't know, that's it. Maybe I can speak non-German normally, maybe that would be a little better. Or maybe it would ruin the mood a bit. That's it. After a while, everyone asked to go to the restroom. Makes sense at that age. You can't hold it for very long. The restrooms were in a rather isolated corner of the mall, and often, unfortunately, it was pretty deserted. Not many people dared to venture into that part of the complex. It had been deserted after a major water damage incident, and the stores around there had, at that time, decided to leave the mall. Since then, that place was kind of abandoned, and nobody really dared to go there anymore. The hallway had even become pretty creepy. Dark, the lights were flickering, and you could even swear it felt cooler there, which was surprising for a well-known mall, but this wasn't the time to scare the kids. Their excitement was much more important than a spooky story, so the kids calmly headed to the mall's restrooms. A place a bit out of the way, a bit strange, where nobody ever goes. Thomas was the first to go in. Once he was done, he waited in the hallway for everyone to come out. That's when he saw it. A big mascot, human-sized, apparently made of rubber. It was some kind of big cat, a black one, like the ones you see in cartoons, you know, with big eyes. And a big mouth, like a strange kind of smile. But surprisingly, Thomas wasn't scared when he saw it. He just stood there, frozen, looking at it for a few seconds, before being distracted by his father coming out next. But when Thomas wanted to show the mascot to his father, it had simply disappeared. The person had probably just gone back to their workplace. The little boy looked for it for the rest of the afternoon, but he didn't see it again. What could go wrong, right? Everything is fine for now, just a strange appearance. On the way back, which took a good half hour by car, the little boy dozed off. It must be said that it's already quite late, and at this hour, he's usually been asleep for a long time. When suddenly, as he was slowly opening his eyes, he sat up abruptly. It was there, on the road, the cat. You know, the rubber mascot he had been looking for all afternoon. He was sure of it. It was there. He immediately called out to his parents. But in just a few seconds, the mascot had disappeared again, just like during their visit to the mall. He was probably dreaming, or so his mother said. He didn't reply. Too tired to do it. He lived in a small, very quiet, gated community. So why be suspicious? They all went to bed very quickly, without seeing the shadow moving through their garden. What is that shadow? What are those strange apparitions he sees from time to time, huh? Around noon, the next day, Thomas and his family are expected by his uncle and all his little cousins. But at noon, still no one, even though they were all supposed to arrive around 11 to begin with. Worried, the uncle tries to call his sister, then his brother-in-law, and unfortunately, no one answers. They live only about 10 minutes away from each other. So the uncle decides to go see what's going on. After all, maybe they were just delayed by a last-minute problem. So I'm warning you, if you're sensitive, I suggest you stop watching the video now. I'll let you imagine his surprise when he saw 4 police cars in front of their house. The door was taped off, the home surrounded by a security cordon, and the media were starting to arrive. In a panic, he tried to go inside. But he was stopped by 2 police officers who took him aside. After checking his identity, they had to break the terrible news to him. The whole family was executed during the night. They were all bled like animals and left for dead. They must have suffered a lot. Unfortunately, the news quickly spread through the media during the day. The whole neighborhood was shocked by what happened, by the way it happened. Not a sound, nothing. Everything in complete silence. Unfortunately, the investigation is still open, and no one can say who could have murdered them in cold blood. No one, except those who believe in Trevor Anderson's theories. And what if that famous cat mascot had something to do with this case? That mascot is none other than Cartoon Cat. Cartoon Cat, as you may have guessed, is a humanoid with black skin and a cat's head. The description has already been given, so I'll spare you the repetition. No, you just need to know he's extremely malevolent and cruel. He is filled with bad intentions, and is considered by many to be the most evil creature in the myth. He is able to move wherever he wants, often with the sole purpose of causing harm. The problem is that his appearance can lead people not to be wary of him. You see how it ended with Thomas's family. The only advice I can give you is this. If one day you're out walking, you hear a cat and you don't see a cat, run away. That's all the advice I can give you. The last case is about something that concerns all of us. Have you ever taken public transportation, a bus, a subway, or something similar? This last case is about that. Good luck. It's around 11 p.m. in New York City. The streets of the big city are still bustling with people, at least in the busiest areas. The city has always been lively. At the same time, we're not talking about just any city. New York. Day or night, you can always find something open or places that are lively, but some areas are less crowded than others. and they're prone to vices and much more serious things. Elena is a young woman, 16 years old, who has learned to fend for herself in this big city. Her parents were never really there for her, unfortunately. She always had what she wanted, whether it was toys or money as she got older, but attention? Never. So, she manages on her own and spends as little time at home as possible. Her house reminds her too much of loneliness. The young woman has been dancing since she was a child and has reached an almost professional level at her age. It's to the point that she's already joined the city ballet. Elena is a very well-liked person at her high school. She has a lot of friends she can count on and who take care of her, unlike her parents. She slept at least once a week at one of their places so she wouldn't spend the evening alone. Her parents always finished work very late or they went out, so whether she was at home or not didn't really make much difference. Well, now that you've been given the context, let's get to the heart of the matter. What happened to her, huh? That night, Elena had another very important audition. She knew very well that at her age, she probably wouldn't get the lead role, but she would really love to dance in this ballet. It's been her favorite since she was very young. 11:56 p.m. The audition went on late, very late. And the young woman has just left the conservatory. She's exhausted, but she has a smile on her face. She knows she got noticed. She saw it in her teacher's eyes. He had always been proud of her, but tonight he seemed different. He said nothing, but she felt good. Even late, the subways still run in the big city. Elena, however, heads the other way, where the train is much emptier, with only a few late workers. She doesn't really notice. She takes this trip 4 times a week, often pretty late by her standards. Nothing seems unusual for now. It's 2 minutes past midnight. Elena is on the subway. You can still leave the video if you want, right? If, for example, you want to sleep tonight, the train car empties little by little. At first, Elena wasn't paying much attention. Her gaze falls on a figure at the other end of her car. A hooded figure gives her a bad feeling. Nothing special, but she's almost sure he's watching when she looks away. In short, he makes her feel uneasy. Luckily, she isn't alone with him and feels somewhat safe. She checks in her bag to make sure she has her pepper spray, which she does. She looks out the window again. It takes her 45 minutes every night, so she might as well get used to it. 6 minutes go by. It's 12:08. He's gotten closer. It's insidious, even devious, and it all seems so innocent like that. But yes, that figure has gotten closer to her, always keeping his face hidden. Elena grows increasingly uncomfortable, especially as fewer people are around to help. She presses against the wall, clutching her bag tightly, in case she has to pull something out to defend herself. But no, nothing helps. She still feels uneasy. She wonders if she should get off, but she has the feeling that would put her in even more danger. So she waits. She keeps an eye on him, but he doesn't try anything, probably because they're not alone, and we're convinced. She decides to wait. With some luck, he'll get off before she does, and things will return to normal. It's a serious mistake to wait. 12:16. He's still there. Only 3 remain in the car. Her, him, and a man typing on his computer. She quickly looks into the 2 cars next to hers. No one. Her only chance is to stay there. She refuses. She doesn't want to end up alone with him. He could hurt her. She's sure of it. She's nervous. He sat down a little behind her, so she can't watch him anymore. So she makes a decision. If the other man gets off before she does, she'll get off at the same time, and she'll walk to the next station. The fresh air should clear her head, but her plan won't go as expected. Far from it. There you go. She was hoping he wouldn't get off before she did, but he did, so she grabbed her things and she jumped out of the car before the doors closed, just so you know, right? But her plan is very simple. Get off at the same time as the third person, to make sure she's always with someone, just in case. In case the other guy tries to attack her, for example. She runs up the subway stairs to reach the outside. After taking a few steps, she checks. No. It's okay. No one. No footsteps. Nothing. She moves forward, turns around at every sound. You can never be too careful. But as she moves forward, she relaxes. No, she's certain. She jumped off the train car just before the doors closed. He couldn't have followed her. She was clever that time. Still, she's very careful. But everything is fine for her. Tomorrow, it will be nothing but a bad memory. No problem. And that's the end of this 3rd case. That's not true. That's not true. Obviously. 12:41. Elena reaches the next station and goes in. Completely relaxed. There's no one. But well, at this hour she expected that. So she waits. Next train in 7 minutes. Perfect. She settles in, when a faint noise catches her attention. To her left, by the stairs, she sees a pair of black sneakers come into view. And that hoodie that scared her so much less than 15 minutes ago. She let her guard down, and he, Ural, rushes to escape. Unfortunately, that's the last thing. The surveillance cameras recorded. She turns around, starts running. A few minutes later, the subway stops, and the conductor rushes out, lying on the ground. Elena's lifeless body stares at him. In just a few minutes, it was over, and the killer had disappeared without leaving a single trace, so it makes you wonder, who could have done this horrible thing? And of course, we did a little investigation for those who believe in Trevor Anderson's theories. The most likely one is this one. Many disturbed people can lurk in big cities, but let me tell you about this one. Unfortunately, there's not much to say about him since he was never caught. He was nicknamed Howdy, and he only attacks in the New York subway at night. He can target anyone as long as he kills and causes harm. After some analysis, it was determined that he might have a psychopathic personality. He is very dangerous. Unfortunately, we don't know any more about this mysterious person. The police are trying to catch him, but he seems to outsmart them every time. Here it is. Howdy, the last character of this third case, the last creature of Trevor Anderson. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a suggestion for you. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, and we'll meet again next Friday for a new episode featuring new creatures around Trevor Anderson. This was Noah. It was a pleasure. Bye.